Webcams are boring, right? Well, not anymore. The current generation of webcams is very impressive, and I've been sent the YoloCam S3 for the purpose of this review. It's a 4K webcam that can be used for content creation and streaming and a bunch of other stuff, but that's what I'm going to use it for. Hello players, welcome back. So YoloLiv did send me this webcam for free to test out, and I like it, so I'm going to talk about it. So in the box, I've already opened mine, you get a high quality, chunky beast of a USB cable. So it's USB-C to USB-A, but you also do get a little A to C adapter, which is quite nice to see. You also get a really cool stand, which does more than fold out, and I'll get to that in a minute. And of course, the YoloCam S3. Now this will do 4K at 30 FPS or 180 at 60 FPS or 50 FPS, 30 or 25 FPS through a USB cable with zero compression. So USB C 3.0 will do the trick for bandwidth there with zero compression. It has an all metal body, which is great for dissipating heat, so you can run it forever without it overheating. And in my opinion, that is going to be the best use case for this camera: content creation and streaming. I'm just using OBS to capture the camera feed. This laptop isn't really equipped to record at 4K, but it's doing its best, bless it. But if you notice a little bit of judder here and there, especially when I move my hands quickly, that's the laptop not recording quick enough. The camera is absolutely fine at 4K if you've got something better than this. Right now I have it side by side with a Sony EVZ10 with a 16mm Sigma lens for this test, so you can see the difference in quality between the two, and it really does pack a punch for its size. Obviously this is not a fair test because the Sony is a $600 camera with a $400 lens, but you can see for YouTube it's really holding its own very well, and it is very impressive. And the autofocus is super quick. They claim 0.3 seconds. I'm not quick enough to test that with a stopwatch, but we can see how well it does compared to the Sony. But Sony typically does have the best autofocus, so you can see how it compares right there. For streaming, I bumped it down to 1080p so you can see how smooth it is when the laptop's not cooking itself. But we can do some streaming. Hello, the tubes. This is your boy Buzz Stringer with all the tech things and that stuff. This is why I don't do live streaming. I know all the streamers aren't like that. We could pretend to be somebody else. We could be Thor from Pirate Software. Yeah, so my dad used to work at Blizzard, and I also used to work at Blizzard, but I don't like to talk about it that much, other than every single stream. Buy my game that's not finished. That's okay, so I don't do streaming that often, but what I do is go into the settings. Now you can use the camera right out of the box and run it through OBS, but it does come with some software called YoloLiv Compose, which I'll flip over to now and do a different screen recording so we can check that out. Okay, so this is the YoloLiv Compose software, and I'm doing an image preview inside of it and recording on OBS. So the screen capture may not be the highest quality, but we can definitely go through all of the settings on here. So the first settings we have are the graphic settings, so we can flip it to vertical. Obviously, I'd flip the camera if I was in vertical. We can change the frame rate all the way up to 60. 60 will bump it down to 1080. And that does give a little bit of a tighter shot on the 1080. Again, you can adjust both 4K and the frame rate in OBS. 4K starts at 30 and goes down, and 1080 will go at 60 Hertz, and then the various frame rates below that. The image settings, we've got this image version, so this is kind of like a skin smoothing filter. I'm not sure it really does too much, but what do you think? It's only for fair complexion at the moment. I'm sure they'll add some more. We can adjust the sharpness of the video there. The contrast, we can bump that up so we can get that nice 90s DV cam style, or we can have zero contrast and just great. Okay, so I think it was about there perhaps. Saturation, we can go full El Presidente mode, or we can go noir and go black and white. But yeah, so where were we? Not as orange as we'd like. Okay. And then we have this lens shading correction, which kind of balances the light and the shadows together. Now, what you see with this switched off is kind of more of a realistic representation of how the lights are set up in this room. There is darkness around the edges, but this will kind of lift everything to be more balanced. There are 3 focus modes. So there's autofocus C, which is center square, which you can see there. So everything in this center square will be in focus. There's AFS, which is even smaller. I don't think I can get into that. So focus exactly what's on the center of the screen. And face, which is probably the one I'd be using. As you can see, it tracks the face very fast. Especially if you're moving about a little bit more, that's what I use anyway. So that's the focus. And then zoom, we've got, it gives you the millimeter, oh, hello. It gives you the millimeter length on the zoom there. I think for the purposes of this, probably a percentage slider would be a bit better, but there we go. This AI parameter setting I'll get to in a second. It requires an account to use. So we'll skip that and come back to it. Exposure, again, you've got manual control over all the exposure. So the ISO you can raise, do it over here, you can raise and lower. And then the shutter, again, you can raise and lower. Setting it to auto is probably going to be best for most people, but if you want some kind of, if you want manual control, you've got it right there. And then the white balance. So that's probably more realistic for what's in the scene at the moment, but you can adjust it manually if you want to. Oh look, that's in Chinese. You probably need to fix that. Okay, and then you can adjust it with anything like this. Yeah, okay, fine. And that is that. Okay, so the AI parameter, while it's doing this, will take an image of the scene, and I think it's going to apply the best settings for this scene, and it does that in the cloud. So I'm being sent to the cloud right now. It does require an account, which I'm not a big fan of. It would be nice if all the features were unlocked without having an account. But let's see how it does. Okay, so we can pick our favorite. I don't know if you can see that on OBS. It's given me 3 options to choose from. I'm going to pick this one. I like that one the best. And then after that, it's given me another 3 to choose from. We'll probably go for the center one. Okay, and it's automatically adjusted all the settings, so it's not bad. Once you've got all the settings how you like them, you can press Save Scene, and we'll give that a name, like that. And they are in here, so you can flip between standard and the one that we just set. And having scenes also requires an account. Not a big fan of that. That's my #1 gripe with this software. Other than that, I think the software works fine. I think there's still a couple of improvements to be made here. Like, for example, with the zoom, it does let you zoom in, but it doesn't let you reposition the frame. So that would be nice to see there. But to be honest, what I would do is I'd just leave that wide open, and then I do all the zooming and adjustments in something like OBS or whatever other software you're using to capture the video, because I would get the color settings right here. They move over to OBS for manipulation, zoom, and things like that. So there you go. So if you have a 1080 stream, for example, you can do 4 times digital zoom with no quality loss. And for content creation, I would set it at 4K, as this is small enough to move around without any trouble. And speaking of moving it around, it comes with this magnetic stand. It's designed to sit on top of your monitor, but you have it on your desk if looking up your nose is your thing. But as it's also got a little mounting hole for a standard tripod or light stand, so it can go straight on top of that. But you may have noticed that this is magnetic. So the camera can be mounted both horizontal and vertical, that way, there. So, which is, you know, for shorts, TikToks, is going to make things a lot easier. Vertical live streams are also becoming a pretty big thing too, so that'd be great for that. These magnets are very strong, so if you have something magnetic above you, you could probably get some really good overhead shots with it. But you're probably, if you're going to put it in some weird places, I would making sure it's tethered in some way, just because it's a magnet, it's not super glue. So the price is $199. There is a universal link below which will take you to the correct store wherever you are located in the world. Huzzah! And I think that's a really fair price for the size, image quality, and versatility. The size is great if you want a mobile setup, and so I do some live streams every now and then, so I'll be using this for that. But I'll also probably use it as a second camera for some other videos as well, so let me know if you spot those. If you are making content, let me know what you are using for content creation in the comments below. And until then, keep playing and be excellent to each other.